was the other major news today. McCaffrey's headed to Germany to visit with an Achilles specialist. That doesn't sound good. I mean, if you're getting on a plane and jumping across the pond, I mean, you think your career isn't hanging in the balance. I mean, that's what that tells me. I mean, he's not doing that for giggles. He must have severe pain. They must have talked to a bunch of people. He may be looking for answers. It sounds very serious.
Yeah, let's talk about Christian for a minute. I mean, we keep learning. Every time we get an update on it, it's worse. Right. Like, hey, it's Achilles tendonitis. Well, that doesn't sound great, but maybe if there's, just a little bit of rest and he'll come back. No, forget rest. He has to leave the country. He has to go to Germany to see a doctor that he can only see there to get what? Platelet-rich plasma, like the thing that Kobe used to do when he was like old. What old athletes have to do to try to turn back the clock. Man, it feels like desperation, like you said, for someone who's afraid that their career is in the balance. That's scary.
Right.
Germany. That's so far. They speak German there. That's crazy.
I mean, that tells you that it's significant and severe and
like no specialists in the Bay Area could handle this. He had to leave the country. No one around here offered this. Like, that's terrible. That's scary. Yikes.
It is scary.
Platelet-rich plasma therapy. Okay. Good luck. What are stem cells next? What are you going to do next? Yikes.
It is scary. It is scary. I mean, here's the other major problem. The Niners right now they got a good runner in Jordan Mason, but they're facing stacked boxes at the highest rate in the entire league. Kev dug this one up today. Niners are facing 8 defenders in the box, 38.5% of the snaps. That's by far the highest in the NFL. It's 9% higher, Grant, than any other team in the league. So, basically teams are looking at the Niners receivers and going, you don't scare us. You have no speed. You don't have any separation. We're going to put extra defender in the box. We're going to play man-to-man. And, good luck to Brock finding the open guy.
Wait, you think this is all about the receivers? You think this is all about the receivers?
I don't know if it's all about the receivers. I think it's a combination of they don't block up front. They're not necessarily blocking in the run game all that well, but now they're getting extra defenders in the box. Now teams are just daring them, pass the ball on us, and their receivers don't get a lot of separation. I mean, I think the numbers indicate it. Whether Brock agrees with it or agrees with the numbers show that the Niners are getting the least separation of any team in pro football.
Yeah, but Jawan Jennings is playing like an all-pro. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily the receivers or it's the system. I mean, everyone knows Kyle Shanahan is a run-first coach, and if you can shut down his running game and his play-action game and get him into a drop-back passing game, then you haven't necessarily won, but you've put yourself in the best possible position because that's the worst part of his playbook, the shotgun, straight-up drop-back passing. So Jordan Mason's a hell of a running back. Brandon Ayuk is clearly not himself yet. And the rest of the league didn't know how good Jawan Jennings is quite yet. So why give them respect when Jordan Mason has been the one kicking butt and Kyle Shanahan wants to run the ball 40 times a game anyway, if he can? That's what I sort of see it as. It's like, let's make the Niners play left-handed. And what's crazy about it is like they have the quarterback and the receiver. Like Purdy and Jennings almost single-handedly won that game yesterday. And so if teams are going to keep playing 8 in the box, I think Purdy can handle that. It's an interesting decision. Maybe it's a reflection of what teams think of Purdy. Maybe they think he won't throw deep. And he did pass up that deep throw to Ayuk in the game, although Kyle explained it, right? He said that was a busted coverage and it wasn't so simple. Like he sort of let Purdy off the hook for that one.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, the Niners are averaging 3.1 yards after catch per reception. That's dead last in the NFL. And what's the most surprising part about that is that they led the NFL in that category every single season, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. They always led the league in yards after catch or yards after catch per reception. And now they're dead last. I mean, doesn't that kind of make you go, What's going on? Ayuk does. I don't know
what about Debo?
what Ayuk's been
Debo
doing.
went from averaging like 10
guy.
yards after the catch per reception. Debo averaged 8.8 yards per catch after the reception last year to this year he's averaging 4.2. I mean,
Debo?
maybe there is something like maybe Debo's getting old. They can't do the things he used to do.
Well, and then, you drafted a guy who's really small in the 4th round, but guess what? He's got 4.3 speed. And John Lynch, what's really weird is John Lynch went on KBR on Friday morning and said, yeah, I really think we're going to see more Jacob Cowing. So I'm down there. I'm driving in. I'm like, oh, okay. I have a note to myself. I talked to Shanahan. I'll ask him about Cowing. I asked him about Cowing. He's like, I don't know. We'll have to see if he plays more.
And then was asked about it today, right? And
today,
he was like, yeah,
he's not ready.
It
sounded like there's issues. Doesn't it sound like there's
ready,
issues?
he'll play.
Yeah, like.
So what's the disconnect? Why did the general manager go on record say, yeah, I think Cowing's going to be out there? And Kyle's like, nope, not ready. Clearly a disconnect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you could say that's not a disconnect. John made it seem like Cowing was on the verge of playing. Shanahan has made it now seem in back-to-back pressers like the kid's not getting on the field anytime soon. So
kind of feels like Cowing is Lynch's guy. That's the guy. Like Pearsall, clearly Kyle's guy, 1st-round pick. And then the front office was like, okay, we like Pearsall, but we're going to take another wide receiver. Just in case. And he's good. And Kyle's like, yeah, he's not ready. And they did the same thing with Jordan Mason. He drafted Ty Davis Price. They took Jordan Mason, and he found reasons for 2 years not to put Jordan Mason on the field, and then had to. And then he went crazy. Same thing with Jawan Jennings. Like that wasn't your guy. It was some 7th-round pick that the front office found. Then all of a sudden, like out of sheer necessity, you start him one time, and he goes for 175 and 3 touchdowns. McFly.
I mean, first of all, let's give it up to Jennings. I mean, Jennings is, I don't even know how to describe Jennings. He's just flat out a baller. He's just one of those guys that if you put money on the table, this guy rises to the occasion. But Grant, before we get to these supers, we got a bunch of supers here, and we'll get to our Bet US. What is in your mind as we sit here 3 games in? What is the biggest issue? I mean, now there's a freaking ton of them, right? The O-line, the receiver separation, the DBs are getting toasted. There's not enough pressure up front. Linebackers can't cover. I mean, there's a ton of them. But if I said to you primary, what is the primary issue? What would you say it is?
My question is Kyle losing this team? Is Kyle losing this team? Because it's not just that they lost the last 2 games. They got outworked in the last 2 games. The Rams played harder than they did. The Vikings played harder than they did. Like their culture is a big reason that they won those games that they shouldn't have. And it's like, is the issue the defense? Yeah. Is the issue the injuries? I don't know. Most of the injuries are on offense, and the Niners have been good without Christian McCaffrey. They've been running the ball without him. They've been throwing the ball without Debo and Kittle. To me, it's like, is this team going to collapse after? You know what feels like 2014 Niners that year, where it's like they're good.
Is that the last year of Harbaugh?
The last Harbaugh year. It's like they're good, but you can kind of feel them tuning out their coach. They're kind of tired of him, and they don't have the same belief in him that they had the 3 previous years because they went to the mountaintop 3 times and didn't get over the hump. And you can feel it. And like they started with the win. They had 2 losses. They won 3 games. They lost 2 games. Like they just kept going back and forth and ended up 8-8. This is how the team feels to me right now. Maybe when these guys come back and get healthy, they'll go on a run. But does it seem like Christian's coming back anytime? Does it seem like Greenlaw's coming back anytime soon? It seems like a team that's going to be in the middle. And that to me is underperforming. And that to me is question, like, is Kyle in year 8 finally starting to lose the belief and trust and of his team?